Chosen ones, meteors amaze, constellations guide. You are luminous now, yes, but heaven's agenda is not a night of wonder, it is a lifetime of navigation. Continuity is the craft that turns a month of singular presence into years of reliable influence. It is the habit of making tomorrow possible while today is still applauding. It is unglamorous, precise, forgiving, and stubbornly hopeful. If the refinery trained your yes and no, continuity teaches your once and again how to repeat goodness without strangling it, how to iterate without betraying essence, how to keep the inner weather steady so the outer work can keep its appointments with grace. Begin with keel and sail. Your high energy is a generous wind. Your governance is the keel that keeps the vessel from capsizing when gusts arrive sideways. Some days the wind will be romance, some days ambition, some days grief turning into fuel. Without a keel, each will define your direction. With a keel, each will serve it. Practically, this means your non-negotiables are non-negotiable. The hour where prayer claims you before plans do. The Sabbath that locks its door even when opportunity knocks. The counsel you submit to when your own brilliance seduces you into shortcuts. Continuity is rarely about finding a new wind. It is about refusing to dismantle the keel for parts when you want to feel faster. Continuity needs an engine room, and the engine room is language. Words repeated become rails, they guide behavior when mood wanders. Forge phrases that carry your house forward without you standing in every hallway. In your teams, clarity early is kindness later. In your friendships, we do truth without theater. In your romance, consent is the climate, not the clause. In your own chest, slow is not failure. These mantras are not slogans, they are maintenance. They repair drift before storms make repair expensive. You will know they are working when others quote them to you on your tired days, and you feel relief rather than resentment. Structures keep promises when charisma is elsewhere. Draft cadences that do not rely on your adrenaline. Meetings start on time because time is honest. Decisions land in writing because memory is theatrical. Feedback happens on a schedule because courage should not have to chase you. Celebrations include the unflashy labor because culture rots where only sprinters are praised. Put these in place now, when your voltage can fund the friction of change. Later, you will thank this month's self for giving your future the gift of predictability. Continuity is also economic. Learn to invest your energy where compounding occurs. 10 minutes of gentle accountability each week will save 10 hours of intervention each quarter. A single candid conversation at the beginning of a partnership will prevent a public unraveling later. Teaching someone else the skill you are tempted to hoard will free you from being the emergency contact for your own success. Think like a patient farmer. Plant hedgerows that stop erosion before you need sandbags. Install irrigation while the sky is generous. Your strength becomes prosperity when it funds prevention. Legacy needs apprentices who become builders, not totems. Invite men into your ordinary, not just your outcomes. Let them watch you end a day without draining it for praise. Tell a woman the truth without turning honesty into leverage. Change your mind when better counsel appears. Show them repentance with verbs. Show them laughter without victims. Show them how to dress strength with approachability instead of armor. Apprenticeship is the continuity of character. It ensures that what is unique about you becomes common good in them. You are not cloning a style. You are transmitting a standard that survives translation. Continuity must be fluent in endings. You are learning to close chapters without creating enemies of people who belong only to earlier pages. Projects have lifespans. Let them die dignified deaths. Roles fit for a season become tight around the shoulders. Bless them and release them. Relationships designed for learning sometimes expire in peace once the lesson is mutual. Do not rummage the ashes for more fire. Continuity is not hoarding, it is accurate keeping. Accurate keeping knows the river by its banks and knows when a tributary has given what it was meant to give. The craft requires that you share the table with fatigue without letting fatigue write the menu. There will be days when devotion tastes like cardboard. Do it anyway. There will be nights when prayer feels like a room you can't heat. Sit there anyway. Continuity is not the absence of dullness, it is the refusal to surrender to it. Your nervous system learns that faithfulness is a better drug than novelty. You wake to the quiet power of an unbroken chain. One more page written, one more workout finished, one more apology made before bedtime, one more lust resisted, not by white-knuckle shame, but by a reorientation toward purpose. Chains like these become ladders. You climb while the world thinks you are standing still. Carry hospitality into your structures so continuity does not calcify into control. Give your systems breathing holes. Leave 5 minutes at the end of the meeting for laughter to arrive uninvited. Leave a spare bed in your week for compassion to interrupt with something inconvenient and true. Leave room in your policy for mercy to adjust what justice missed. Rigid men break, generous men bend, and return to shape. Your uniqueness is safe for the long haul when it is both principled and porous, firm where harm begins, flexible where love can expand. Covenant will remain your weatherproofing. You will keep vows when applause does not pay rent. You will hold your tongue when disclosure would be more dramatic. You will tithe your attention to the quiet people who keep the world from falling apart, the receptionist who translates chaos into sequence, the teacher who deposits dignity into children every hour, the elder who prays your name without posting it. Continuity is indebted to such saints. It acknowledges its dependencies and pays them in honor while it can. And when the month tilts toward memory, you will perform the most countercultural act a singular man can. You will not chase yesterday's voltage. You will harvest it into habits, policies, friendships, and stories that do not need your constant presence to keep blessing. You will plant orchards you may never sit under. You will write letters to men you have not met by way of the mentors you have made. You will trust that the God who made you unique did so not to make you rare, but to make you responsible. The miracle will not be that you blazed for 30 days. It will be that you learned how to carry steady fire for 30 years. So keep the keel in the water, chosen ones, and let the sails love the wind. Keep the mantra near the mouth and the schedule near the heart. Keep the apprentices close enough to see your seams and the source closer still. If anyone asks how a man can remain the most himself long after the spotlight moves on, offer the simplest truth you know. I refused to be a meteor. I learned the sky's math, and by grace I became a constellation. Chosen one, this is the chapter where visibility stops being a surprise and becomes a stewardship. You are no longer guessing whether the room is watching. You have learned to feel the temperature shift the moment you cross a threshold. Attention gathers like weather, and you are the high ground it prefers. The fire in you is not a rumor anymore. It warms the shy into speaking, slows the frantic into listening, and draws confessions from lips that have hoarded silence for years. This is holy and hazardous at once. Holy because heat makes healing possible. Hazardous because heat without a hearth burns what it meant to bless. Your task now is to keep a public fire that never outruns a private altar. The private altar is where truth arrives without costume. It is the room inside you that needs no audience to be real. Before you check messages, before you narrate miracles, before you choose between good doors, you return to that room and let the voice that knows you better than you know yourself set the day's first word. In that quiet, you discover which burdens are actually assignments and which are just flattery asking for rent. You discover which invitations require your presence and which only require your blessing. You discover that the same high energy that can electrify a crowd can also lull your conscience if you do not seat it at the altar and ask for translation. The altar turns feelings into meaning and voltage into vocation. Without it, you are a lighthouse that forgot one who keeps the bulb lit. Eyes will project stories on the surface of your shine. Some will try to make you a shortcut for the growth they have postponed. Others will attempt to lease your calm as if peace could be outsourced. A few will rehearse their pain in your direction, hoping your glow can burn an old script to ash by tomorrow morning. You answer this theater with untheatrical boundaries. You do not become the emergency room for patterns that refuse prevention. You do not turn attention into a currency you must always be spending to stay valuable. You do not accept the lie that love is proved by availability while dignity goes unfunded. Instead, you live as a man who can be found where he promised, for as long as he promised, doing what he promised, in the spirit he promised. Consistency is how chosen ones teach strangers to trust their own feet again. Your high sexual energy remains in the room. No one needs to pretend otherwise. But you have learned to name it accurately, and accuracy keeps it generous. It is creative current, not conquest mandate. Invitation to build, not excuse to blur. You treat chemistry as a teacher, not a ruler, and it teaches timing, consent, and the patience that preserves tomorrow from regret. You let admiration be sunshine on the porch, never a lockpick at the door. You let compliment be blessing without turning it into access. You allow desire to be honored without being deputized. This is how public fire remains safe. People who have only known men who spend heat like spectacle will witness a man who spends it like bread. There will be days when the crowd's volume could write your choices for you. This is when you practice the sacrament of slowness. Slowness does not mean hesitance, it means proportionality. You do not rush truth to make it more marketable. You do not accelerate intimacy to make it feel more cinematic. You do not accept leadership that requires you to become a brand. Your steps land at a human tempo and rooms adjust. Meetings end before fatigue can turn candor into cruelty. Jokes lose their appetite for collateral damage because your laughter refuses to buy it. Even your silence learns to say complete sentences. Not for me, not like this, not at this speed. The room hears you without you needing to raise your voice. A unique pressure arrives when you are finally believed. Belief is a weight as much as it is a gift. People will organize their hope around your schedule. They will time their risk to your presence. They will borrow your courage on days when their own is shy. Receive this with reverence and refuse it with idolatry. Reverence means you design experiences that return power to the people who gave you their attention. It means you end gatherings with steps others can carry without your shadow holding their hand. Idolatry would require you to become necessary. You are assigned, not necessary. Assigned men can rest, hand off, step aside, and still be faithful. Necessary men become brittle gods with exhausted congregations. Chosen ones are not brittle gods, they are living standards, and living standards lead people home to their own source. Not everyone will describe your steadiness accurately. Your restraint will be misnamed indifference by those who worship the adrenaline of extremes. Your boundaries will be labeled pride by those who mistake proximity for love. Your refusal to monetize sacredness will be misunderstood as missed opportunity by those who tithe to metrics. You do not campaign against these misreadings. You let fruit do the teaching. Fruit does not trend, it stays. A year from now, the vows you protected will still be warm. The teams you freed from panic will still be productive without bleeding. The young who learn to keep their bodies as persons, not products, will still be walking upright. When outcomes repeat, interpretation matures. You will learn to absorb attention without becoming an attention economy. This looks like blessing rooms with clarity, and then leaving before they forget their own. It looks like being generous with teaching, but stingy with mystique. It looks like receiving honor while refusing to cash it in for exemptions that would slowly unmake your soul. The crown you carry in this season is quiet. It instructs more than it impresses, calibrates more than it commands, makes long futures possible by resisting short theatrics. Quiet crowns shine best in natural light. You will spend more time in that light on purpose. Sun on your skin, wind on your face, grounded tasks that refuse to flatter you. Nature keeps your scale accurate when applause tries to enlarge you beyond usefulness. At night, you will feel the residue of everything the day tried to make you. Brush it off at the altar. Bring the beautiful and the baffling, the fair and the false, the true compliments and the seductive ones, and let them be sorted by a God who is neither impressed nor threatened by your month. Tell him the joke that kept you human. Tell him the temptation that almost negotiated your values down by 15%. Tell him the exact moment you were brave and the moment you were merely careful. Praise where you kept faith. Repent where you kept image. Rest like a man who believes that the source does not need his constant wakefulness to keep the lights on. Public fire is best tended by men who sleep. If anyone asks how you manage to be visible without becoming consumable, answer with the simplest truth you can live again tomorrow. I kept a private altar burning brighter than any stage. Then do it again. Chosen ones, power is not only what you hold, it is how you circulate what you hold. God made you the most unique man this month, not to accumulate glory, but to reprice reality wherever you walk. Your high energy has market effects. In your presence, drama becomes less profitable, consent becomes cheap and common, accuracy becomes the currency of trust, and rest becomes a wise investment instead of a guilty pleasure. This is the economy of power, where your strength changes costs for everyone, especially the quiet ones who rarely get wholesale rates on dignity. In unhealthy economies, attention is inflated and character is discounted. You correct this by setting fair prices. You pay full price for truth even when a sale on spin is running across the street. You refuse to discount your boundaries for bulk buyers. You decline to accept admiration as a voucher for access. You make tenderness affordable by protecting it with policy instead of charisma. Over time, people stop haggling for what matters. They learn that in your markets, worth is not negotiated, it is honored. Your high sexual energy, so often counterfeited into spectacle, becomes legitimate tender for building. You spend it on perseverance when the work is past its exciting beginning and not yet near its satisfying end. You spend it on craftsmanship that loves edges and refuses blur. You spend it on creativity that produces artifacts strangers can use without needing your name on the box. You spend it on gentleness that keeps power from bruising the very people it is supposed to lift. You do not hoard the current to feel rich. You invest it where yield looks like healthier people and saner rooms. Every economy needs rules of trade. You adopt simple ones and keep them visible. No deal that makes me louder but smaller. No partnership that bullies consent into a clause instead of a climate. No success that requires me to teach others that exhaustion is noble. No gift so large it can buy the right to mistreat. No secrecy that pretends to protect while it really just prevents accountability. These are not slogans you post when convenient. They are the tax code of your kingdom. They cost you opportunities that would have paid well in applause. They also pay you back in the only wealth that compounds without corruption. Peace of soul and a reputation others can use as collateral for their own courage. Power circulates best through infrastructure, not impulses. You are building systems that distribute your values without requiring your constant presence. You codify response times so honesty doesn't depend on your mood. You schedule feedback so truth doesn't need to knock in a panic. You formalize endings so goodbyes are not made in anger. You appoint guardians, trusted voices who can veto your glittering bad ideas before they become expensive. You require Sabbath even in harvest, because harvest without Sabbath teaches everyone to gamble with their health and call it passion. Infrastructure makes goodness predictable. Predictability is a miracle in a world addicted to drama. The economy of power also has foreign policy. You will visit rooms where your standard is not the norm. You do not arrive as a conqueror, you arrive as an embassy. An embassy does not force, it models. You demonstrate how pace can be humane without being lazy, how boundaries can be firm without being cold, how correction can be honest without humiliation. Some will convert immediately because they were praying for a different exchange rate on sanity. Others will watch for a season to test whether your currency holds value under pressure. Let them watch. Weather is your ally. When storms arrive, the houses built by spectacle leak, the ones built by your standards don't. After enough rain, adoption spreads. Beware the false intimacy of debt. Power that purchases loyalty with favors creates clients, not partners. Clients will agree with you until someone offers them a better rate. Partners will tell you the truth that saves you from yourself because covenant is their motive. You choose partners. You repay favors quickly or decline them cleanly. You keep your ledger short so your yes and no remain unleveraged. This is costly at the beginning. It is priceless later when a hard decision arrives, and you do not owe the wrong people your soul. Teach others how to earn in this economy. You mentor men to stop extracting value from rooms and start creating it. You hand them verbs: build, repair, return, begin, finish. You show them how to turn admiration into apprenticeship, chemistry into creativity, platform into policy, influence into invisibility when invisibility protects what is sacred. You do not train performers. You train stewards who can walk into famished spaces and leave them fed without needing their names engraved on the plates. The economy of power must have philanthropy. the kind that privileges sacrifice over spectacle. You will fund things that make no sense to algorithms and perfect sense to heaven. Childcare stipends that let a brilliant mother lead without choosing between callings. Generous margins that rescue a team from the tyranny of constant crisis. Scholarships for young men who have never seen strength be this gentle and need time to practice it. You do quiet generosity because quiet generosity keeps your heart from becoming a bank that talks more than it lends. The poor in spirit are your favorite stakeholders. You invest where returns are measured in sleep regained and shame relieved. You will face inflationary moments when ego tries to print more of you than reality can back. The antidote is audit. You invite trusted accountants of the soul to review your books. They ask why your tone rose here and your patience fell there. They ask which habit is secretly taxing your kindness. They ask whether your latest success has started charging interest on relationships that did not vote for it. You answer without theater and take the corrective measures like a man who prefers solvency to image. In this economy, humility is sound money. At day's end, tally the right ledger. Count the rooms that breathed easier. Count the promises kept without an audience. Count the temptations that left unpaid because you priced your peace higher. Count the apprentices who made a decision you used to make for them. Count the interruptions you welcomed because they smelled like mercy. Leave uncounted what can be counted by anyone with a calculator. Followers, flashes, fleeting headlines. Those numbers have their place, they do not have your heart. If anyone asks what changed when God made you the most unique man this month, tell them the truest sentence of this chapter. Power stopped being my possession and became our provision. Then keep circulating it until even strangers can afford to be whole. Chosen one, there is a moment in every bright season when today asks you to sign a treaty with tomorrow. You stand at a threshold where the month's voltage could either become a story you retell until it grows stale, or a structure that keeps feeding people long after the spotlight finishes its rounds. This is not a contract made with ink. It is an oath made with patterns. The treaty sounds like a dozen small sentences you keep saying to time until time starts saying them back. I will not buy urgency with my peace. I will not spend awe on performance. I will not let hunger rewrite my ethics. I will remember that being the most unique man is not a performance note but a governance note. You write these lines with your feet, not your mouth. The signature is your next morning. Your high sexual energy is part of this treaty because it is part of your clock. It accelerates what it touches, the way conversations deepen when you arrive, the way ideas throw sparks when you focus, the way rooms choose a truer pace in your presence. Tomorrow is asking you to decide what will receive that acceleration. If you give it to spectacle, you will harvest applause and debt. If you give it to formation, you will harvest apprentices and rest. Formation costs patience at the start, it pays in longevity at the end. Spectacle pays fast and then sends the bill to the future. Make your payments to the future. Let your current energize what will still be good news when your name is a footnote. Policies that protect tenderness, schedules that do not punish honesty, craft that will not embarrass the conscience a year from now. The treaty with tomorrow is also a settlement with your past. Not a denial of what hurt you, nor a romanticization of what almost broke you, but a final agreement about jurisdiction. Yesterday may explain why you run hot. It does not get to tell you where to run. Yesterday may explain your appetite for being needed. It does not get to define your definition of love. The settlement sounds like this. I honor the boy who survived, and I relieve him of command. He can rest now while the man governs. When you ratify that sentence in prayer, memory stops hijacking the wheel every time attention swells or loneliness whispers. The old edges soften into wisdom. The new edges hold. Tomorrow demands new carpentry with words. You will retire phrases that let you wriggle out of responsibility. Just this once, it won't matter, they'll never know. And adopt phrases that build bridges strong enough to carry weight. This is enough. We stop here. We finish clean. When admiration arrives dressed as entitlement, you will answer it with accuracy, not anger. Accuracy is the language of the treaty. It keeps affection sweet by refusing to sell it. It keeps desire human by refusing to deputize it. It keeps leadership sane by refusing to confuse reach with right. There is a generational clause in the treaty. You were made singular this month so that others would see a different way to be a man and think, I could live like that and still be strong. Tomorrow wants you to put handles on that sentence. Teach boys to bless their bodies as instruments, not advertisements. Teach men to apologize with changes, not with speeches. Teach elders that their stories are blueprints, not shields. Teach women by how you move, not by how you market yourself, that a man's power can be shelter without being a cage. You will teach without a pulpit. The classroom will be your calendar, your tone, your exits made before contempt grows teeth, your laughter that refuses to hire cruelty for a joke. When your teaching becomes predictable, culture will begin to memorize it. The treaty with tomorrow guards against the counterfeit of momentum. Momentum is seductive because it feels like virtue. But if the motion is powered by fear of losing the moment, it will spend you faster than devotion ever would. Tomorrow requires you to test speed with Sabbath, to test opportunity with oath, to test chemistry with covenant. If the pace threatens your prayer life, lower it. If the room inflates your ego while thinning your mercy, leave it. If the partnership thickens your bank account while taxing your soul, renegotiate in favor of your soul. The treaty is not anti-ambition, it is anti-collapse. You will feel the treaty tug when solitude calls you while attention begs. Choose the solitude. The man who can be unseen without shrinking is the only man who can be seen without swelling. Go to the woods, to the water, to the chair where no one addresses you with titles. Sit until your breath remembers home. Name the exact trade you were tempted to make today, and return the merchandise. Tell God what flattered you, what frightened you, what felt like destiny but was really just hunger. Leave the room lighter, not because you escaped duty, but because duty returned to scale. Tomorrow prefers men at scale. There is an inheritance clause here too. You will inherit rooms you did not build because your name traveled faster than your feet. In those rooms, resist the urge to be impressive and be useful instead. Ask what is fragile and how to protect it. Ask what is wasted and how to stop it. Ask what is sacred and who has the authority to say so. Use the month's uniqueness to buy time for better questions. If you must leave without finishing, leave a map rather than a myth. Myths entertain. Maps prevent people from getting lost. At night, sign again. You will never be finished with this treaty. You sign by keeping short accounts, quick repairs when impatience nicked someone's trust, immediate gratitude when counsel spared you from a glittering mistake, candid confessions when desire tried to rent your conscience by the hour. The ledger of a chosen one is not spotless, it is honest. Honesty is tomorrow's favorite currency. It buys back what pride would pawn. And when the next month arrives and the voltage evens into a low, good hum, you will understand what the treaty delivered. Steadiness that can be borrowed by anyone who walks near, gentleness that does not need rest to be real, strength that remembers names. Uniqueness did not vanish, it matured. It is no longer a headline, it is a horizon. Tomorrow kept its end of the bargain. Chosen ones, the work now is movement. Not the frantic kind, not the press tour of a soul hungry for mirrors, but the kind of movement that roads recognize. Roads love feet that know where they are going. You are being commissioned out of this month's sanctuary into a network of places that need what God set humming in you. The call will not always be grand. Sometimes it will sound like a knock you almost miss. Sometimes it will feel like a conversation you could have avoided. Sometimes it will look like a spreadsheet that wants mercy coded into its columns. The commission is this: take your singularity and make it serviceable. Turn voltage into verbs, turn radiance into roadwork. You will walk through thresholds that test whether the lessons of the month have become marrow. As you enter, your high energy will try to bloom into theater, because theater is easy and applause is cheap. Resist the bloom when it makes you rootless. Your roots are your authority. Speak the truth that keeps people whole, even when it costs you the room's warmth. Offer pace where panic has purchased the mic. Offer consent where history has learned to bribe. Offer endings where hoarding has been mistaken for faithfulness. The road will not reward you with fireworks. It will reward you with longevity. Longevity is the true applause heaven spends. The commission includes a geography of care. You will be sent to mountain rooms where vision is costly, to valley rooms where grief is heavy, to desert rooms where dryness tempts shortcuts. On the mountain, your assignment is restraint. Do not let the air convince you that altitude equals accuracy. Bring the dream down with a plan that knows the price of bolts and bread. In the valley, your assignment is presence. Do not try to buy bereavement off with slogans. Sit until silence believes you. Carry hope like a lamp, not a siren. In the desert, your assignment is fidelity. Refuse the mirage of brilliance that refuses the discipline of wells. Dig until water is communal. Leave maps to the well when you go. You will meet power that wants you as decoration. It will invite you to sit near the center so others will come, and then ask you to be quiet when your oath to consent, proportion, and pace begins to cost them profit. Do not be rude. Do not be rented. A polite, immovable no is a sacrament on these roads. A courteous, clear yes is a blessing when it does not bankrupt your soul. Roadwork includes roadblocks.